You know the words. Love is patient. Love is kind. They've been read at more weddings than any other passage in the Bible. Printed on invitations, stitched onto pillows, spoken by nervous grooms in rented suits. It's the love chapter, and we filed it away as something soft and romantic. A poem about the feeling two people have when they stand at an altar. Here's what almost nobody realizes about those words. Paul wasn't writing about romance. He wasn't writing for a wedding at all. He dropped that famous passage into the middle of an ugly church fight, a congregation that had turned its spiritual abilities into a competition, showing off, ranking each other, arguing about who mattered most. The most beloved description of love ever written was aimed like a corrective at people who were being anything but loving. And once you see that, the chapter stops being a greeting card and becomes something far sharper. Paul is standing in front of a church full of gifted, talented, spiritually impressive people who cannot stand each other. And he says, in effect, you can have every gift there is, and if you don't have love, you're just noise. That's what we're studying this week. Spiritual gifts and the surprising thing that makes them matter or makes them worthless. Because the Corinthians had gifts in abundance. They weren't a dull church or a dead one. They were dazzling. And their dazzling gifts were tearing them apart because they'd forgotten what the gifts were for. Let's walk into it, one day at a time. First, where are we in the letter? Because the setting explains the whole problem. Paul has been working his way through 1 Corinthian mess after another. The factions, where people lined up behind their favorite preachers. The immorality they were proud of. The idolatry, the lawsuits, the confusion about marriage and food. And now he arrives at what was happening when they actually gathered to worship, and it was chaos. Their worship services had become a competition. Picture a room full of people all trying to be heard at once, all trying to display the most impressive gift, and the result was noise and division instead of worship. The 1 hour that was supposed to knit them together as a family had turned into the hour that most exposed how divided they were. To understand why, you have to remember where these people came from. Most of the Corinthian believers had grown up in pagan religion, and pagan religion in that world ran on spectacle. The mark of a truly spiritual person, in the cults they'd left behind, was ecstatic experience. Trances, frenzy, strange inspired speech, the more dramatic the better. If you weren't visibly, loudly overcome by some supernatural force, people doubted the God was really with you. That instinct didn't evaporate the day they became Christians. It walked into the church with them. And so they took the genuine gifts of the Spirit and started treating them the way they treated pagan ecstasy. The gifts became proof that they were the spiritual elite, a way to rank themselves above the ordinary believers around them. That's the disease Paul is treating. Same sickness as the rest of the letter, really. Pride and division. Just a new arena. And his cure is the one he's been building toward the whole time. The church is a body. One body, many parts, every part necessary, all of it held together by love. God gave the gifts to promote unity, and the Corinthians had twisted them into a tool for division. Hold that picture, a worship service turned into a talent show, because everything this week is Paul patiently turning it back into a body.